My name is Julie Wylie, and I am so proud to be a part of this collaboration, bringing Tai Chi to this community and measuring its results. And there's a couple of different things that it's interesting to talk about measuring. There's the way that science measures things, and then there's our perception. How is it really working for me? Some of the benefits are measurable and quantitative, and the others can simply be communicated based on one's own perception. I feel better. I feel better. Difficult to quantitate, and yet that is a personal measurement. I feel better. Part of my draw to Tai Chi have been playing with the slow dance. I like to call it the slow dance now for, 11 or so years. And it's been within the last 4 or 5 years that I've met a gentleman named Dr. Paul Lamb, who is an MD. He lives in Australia. And that's whose combination of forms under the Sun style Tai Chi that I share in this community. And there's quite a few reasons why, but one of which is that as an MD, he brings the medical aspect to this is why we're doing these moves. They're safe for the body based on the way the body's designed, based on the way the body functions. And in particular, I'm using the words the body. That's the closest to an ideal that we can get. Not a perfect, but an ideal. And then we each get to come to that from our body's way. Our body is, at this moment, a combination of all of our choices and actions up till this point, and circumstances. So we get to bring that information to the practice, and what I'm learning about the body and anatomy, I bring that to the practice so that we can work our way closer to our own unique ideal. And we're using some science to do that. There are 4 main branches of Tai Chi. It's kind of the blah, blah, blah part of the talk. There's 4 main branches. Sun style is the youngest. In general, between the 4 branches, some are more martial in their artistry, and some are more medicinal. Sun style is more medicinal. Some of the characteristics of Sun's style are that the stances are higher. Like a low stance would be something like, where we would move around very low. Okay? As opposed to Sun's style, we move around a little bit higher. And then as leg strength builds and as comfort allows, one might sink a little bit lower, if that's comfortable for them. Sun style movements are smooth, continuous. That's pretty consistent through the world of Tai Chi. The range of motion in Sun style movements is smaller. The movements are more in front of the body, kept within your peripheral vision. Do you think of yourself as an athlete? Sure. What are the qualities that come to your mind when you think of an athlete? What you got, Jerry? A lot of muscle. So strength, energy, speed, coordination, discipline. Yeah. Can you use those qualities to describe you? Now, that speed is a unique one, right? I think to myself, well, are you running any marathons? And the things that we would use to measure speed. But where you use speed today is in your ability to stop and your ability to get started again. It's in your agility. Yes, Roy? Okay. I can also do a better job of maybe, and looky here, I just touched it, and I think I found the magic key. It's right there at the end of the microphone. Let's see, Roy, is that any better? Aha, that's better then. Okay, good. Great. One of the qualities that we bring into our Tai Chi practice here in particular at the J, in collaboration with the Neuropathy Alliance, is an established purpose as we step into class. Today's class is to learn more about, and then we'll fill in the blank. And some of that purposeful intent will come with some anatomy education, and it'll certainly come with experiential information, the information that you gather through your own experience. And as an athlete, each person participating in the class has an opportunity then to work their way toward their potential. You come up to your own potential, making your own adjustments. And it's only in that formula that possibilities that you yet know, that are yet unknown, reveal themselves. I didn't know that was possible. And the way that one gets there is by setting a purpose, gathering some information and some experience, making one's way toward their potential. I do. I hear some chickens.
You do. I'm so sorry. They're little chickens. They're little chickies in there.
Like for real?
Yeah, for real. On your way out, if you want to see some chicks, you may. Yeah, imagine you're in a barnyard.
On your way in, each of you, I hope, received one of these folded pieces of paper. It lists on the front the benefits of Tai Chi, a little bit about Sun-style Tai Chi. What I'd like to call your attention to on the very front cover are the words finding health through movement. Finding health through movement. Part of that is getting to know how our body moves. We explored our own movement when we were tiny, small, just born, and we began moving very slowly. It's the way that Tai Chi brings us back to movement. When we were in small infant bodies that were changing rapidly, we did all kinds of movement experiments, including going outside, running, playing, safely pushing our edge, maybe not so safely pushing the edge. And then we got into these adult bodies and got busy with kids and a career and perhaps less movement. Likely less experimentation. Then there comes a point where our bodies start changing rapidly again. And it calls for, as interesting as it sounds, it calls for exploring and experimenting with movement in your right now, today body, what's possible. The way to know what's possible is to work toward your potential. What's my potential right now? So in Tai Chi, we do that by moving the movable parts. So where you sit right now, one of the movable parts, the one that's closest to the ground and responsible for your balance, would be your ankles. The way that the ankle joint works is that it opens and closes, a lot like the elbow, a lot like the knee. But take just a moment and experiment with toes up and toes down. There's a couple of ways that you can do that, right? So in particular, I'm thinking about you, right? What's your name?
Tony.
Tony, right? So there's two ways that you can work with toes up and toes down. One of them is isometrically, and the other is isotonically. So you could just squeeze the shin muscles on the front and act as though you're lifting your toes up. Very mental, right? Just isolating, sending information down to those muscles to squeeze them. You can send information down to the back side of the shin bone to squeeze that muscle. And very little, if any, movement needs to occur for you to send that information down. I'd like to squeeze that muscle. You could also activate it. Point the toe and open up the front of the ankle. Lift your toe up and open up the back of your ankle. So the body has a pretty good range of motion. I'm going to see if I can balance here and lift my leg. The body has a pretty good range of motion. My body has that much range of motion. So maybe the body has a little bit more than that. Then your body's is likely different, more or less. But what is your potential right now? Go ahead and open and close. How about now circle your ankle, draw a circle with your toes, and then you can do the same isometrically. So that's possible because of the design of your foot. Lots of little bones up near the ankle allow for you to roll the toes around in a circle. Great. Good. Take just a moment and open and close your knee joint. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That one's not braced up, right? That one's right. Good. So along the way of opening and closing the joints, you're also gathering information. How does this feel? Did anyone experience any discomfort in opening and closing their joint? A little bit of discomfort? Mm-hmm. Always? Anybody else? Good. And would you have called that a slight discomfort or a moderate or acute? Slight. So there's a way to put a measurement to it. Good. Where you're sitting, you might draw a circle next with your knee. Doing that, you're activating your hip joint. Good, good, good. Slow it down then. We'll put a little Tai Chi energy on it, slowing it down. Uh-huh. That's it. That's it. Good. Yeah, very good. Good. Did anyone experience in drawing a circle with your knee the sense that the circle had edges? That the circle wasn't smooth? Yes? Give it another go. This time look for the symmetry of your circle and be aware of any lines or places where the circle might feel a little jerky. Nice, good. So where those places show up, that more linear movement, are places where the mind would surely love for us to slow our movement down so that it can help find all of the muscle fibers necessary to make smooth movement. So what is connected, mind-body connected, is enough muscle fibers to move the body in more gross movement ways. Slowing down gives us a chance to refine the movement, to find a smoother path. Just like when we were first learning how to move, we moved very, very slowly to experiment. We're bringing that back with Tai Chi. While in classes, one of the things that we'll focus on is noticing what sort of information is coming in from your skin. Tai Chi builds awareness. The first thing that folks will notice is, and right now if you're gathering information in from your skin, what sorts of things do you notice? Huh? The air conditioner. So you notice temperature, right? Right. What else? Texture. So you might could feel clothing on your skin. Right. Good. And one other measurement that we can get is pressure. Yeah. So for example, notice your bottom on the chair, your cheeks on the chair, and is one of them heavier? Is there more pressure in one of them than the other? Yeah. And then a wallet will affect that. I notice when I'm driving my car that I put more pressure on my right cheek than I do on my left. So I recently stood in front of a mirror at a chiropractor's, not at their office, but at a health fair. And the mirror had a straight line down it. Have you ever seen these? Then several lines that were horizontal. And there was a person using their eyes to check out my alignment. And she said, your right hip sits lower than your left. To which I thought, no way. And I started changing my own alignment, working with that. And then I noticed that in my car, I sit really heavy on that hip. And it seems to me as though I'm changing the architecture of my body based on the way that I'm using it. So my mission right now, as I'm working in Tai Chi classes, is to work on leveling my pelvis, now that I know that one side of it sits lower than the other. It was helpful to have that extra set of eyes to tell me what they see. We gathered information just a little bit ago from your joints. We've looked at what sort of information comes in from skin. Information that comes in from connective tissue could be information like, I feel stiff. Yeah. And along the way, what you're measuring is pain, and I've got another word up there, and that's pleasure. As many know, when you're in pain, that likely gets most all of your attention. And the hypothesis out there for your experimentation is that there's other information coming in, pleasurable sensations, things that tell you I'm getting stronger. I feel flexible. I feel stable. This feels good. And then I'll refer back to Paul's words, I feel better. So he's been measuring something along a continuum of pain and I feel better, gathering information along the way, not just pain information, noticing other sensations. Let's take a break for just a moment and come into your wrists and your fingers. Nice. Good. And open and close the elbows. Your skin's perfectly stretched for your every movement. Good. And then very gently come on up into your shoulders, small circles. With both feet flat to the floor. Sitting up as straight in your chair as you're comfortable. Taking a breath in and out. Imagining lengthening your spine with your next inhale. On your exhale, drop your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Lift it up to the roof of your mouth. Tai Chi coordinates breath, body, mind. Good. On your next inhale, imagine your arms floating. Floating. On the exhale, they recede. And as you move your arms, look for the sense, your own sense of change. So what'll change is the difference between mechanical movement, that up and the down, and the float. If you would, on your next inhale, pay attention to turning your hands towards your face. A movement that we could take for granted, but it took quite a few muscles, quite a few neurons to make that happen. The exhale, and dropping your chin back. Bringing your head a little bit further back on your skeleton. Maybe it sits down a little bit snugger on your rib cage there. And then pay attention to turning your hands. And if your neck is comfortable with this, use your eyes to follow your hands down to your lap. Good. Pay attention to the motion of turning, gently dropping your chin back. Nice. On this next one, we'll coordinate the breath. Here's the inhale, the exhale, the inhale, the exhale. Good. One more time. Good. And feel your feet flat to the floor. Good. Give yourself a shake. Relax there. Beautiful. Good. This time, bring the hands up just as though you've got a sphere, a round ball, maybe even a beach ball between them. And look into your right palm. At the same time, turn your left hand toward the earth. And gently stretch your hands apart. They're not going far. Gently stretch. Good. Nice. And as though there's elastic between them, it pulls them back together. And take just a moment as you're holding the ball to let go of any extra tension in your shoulders. You've got the ball a good distance from your heart. Not too much, and not too close. Yeah, about right there. And looking into your left palm, simultaneously turning your right toward the earth. Gently stretch. Drawing your hands back together. Good. Can you be any more relaxed? Feet relaxed, spine long. Nice, good. Reach out. Nice. Beautiful. On the inside of your pamphlet, there are just a couple of basic principles. Who has seen Tai Chi in the parks? Seen Tai Chi in the parks or have you ever seen Tai Chi in action?
I take the other class here.
You take the other Tai Chi class here? Terrific. And then who else has taken Tai Chi? I know there's a couple here in the local class. Jerry, too. Well, there's just a few principles, and one of the things that's remarkable about Tai Chi is that it looks super simple, like maybe so simple that it doesn't do any good. And yet you just experienced a bit of Tai Chi. Can anyone name a benefit that you might have felt or that you did feel from that experience? Relaxed. Relaxed. Anybody else? Jerry said it focused her attention. Focused her attention.
Yeah, I can differentiate between different amounts of tension on each side of
Different amounts of tension. Terrific. So one of the things that we're doing in a Tai Chi class is that we're building sensory IQ. I talked just a moment ago about pain and pleasure. And it's very different to say, gosh, this hurts, versus I feel a sensation deep down inside or out near the edge of my skin. It's slight or it's moderate or it's acute. It's giving variations to or different descriptions to what I feel. And so you're describing different tensions. It feels different.
Yes, I've had injury in one side, so it is literally different, and so, it tends to have different areas of tension. It's very good when I'm more aware of it, because then I can let it go.
Good. Good. It's important to be aware of it because then I can let it go, become aware of it, right? And then how we become aware of it is through a focused mind. There's a listing of just a few of the basic principles on the inside of your pamphlet there. Focus on your movement. So one of the things that we just played with, and I invited you to pay attention to you turning your hand. And paying attention to you turning your hand is very different than you following me turning my hand. It's different for you to mirror what I'm doing than it is for you to guide your own movement. So you've gone outside and you've gathered information from me, and then you've come into yourself and you've done that guiding. And then sometimes the brain says, wait a minute, which is she doing? Wait. Right? And then attention's gone back outside. And then it can come back inside, which is what it did for you, and you went, oh, there it is. I'm back inside, guiding my own movement. That's one of the benefits then that we will receive from a Tai Chi practice. Movements are slow and continuous. So this allows for reaching your potential movement ability, going at it slow. It's one thing to say, yeah, I know how to ride the bike. If it's been a little while since you've been on the bike, it's probably going to be a little bit jagged riding it, a little bit rough riding the bike. An example that you may be able to tap into was when you drew circles with your knee. And so yes, sure, I can draw circles with my knee, and yet it may have been a while since you've done that. And the circle may not have been as smooth at the beginning as it was toward the end. Let's talk a little bit about breathing. We just had an experience of that. One of the practices in Tai Chi speaks to balance. And balance is found in a number of different ways in Tai Chi classes. One way is balancing the inhale with the out, the inhale with the exhale, the in-breath with the out. So when balancing, there's typically a side with more energy and a side with more rest. Another way of bringing balance. So if you would give yourself a good strong exhale, and then a nice soft inhale is what your body gets to take. And then give yourself a good strong and let your body take the inhale. On the good strong exhale, notice what happens around your core. You'll want it to squeeze for the most efficient exhale. And relax for a full, deep breath. This is the key work of Tai Chi, so Qi, Q-I, the energy work of Tai Chi. That's often practiced in a practice called Qigong or Qigong. The breath work that we do, coordinating breath with movement. drawing your attention to your breath. Great. The pelvis generates the movement, initiates all of the movement in Tai Chi. If it's comfortable for you to stand, you're welcome to stand. You can also sit for this next experience. Either way. Anybody need a stand break? Is it comfortable to stand?
I can't stand that.
All right. With that, you want to stay seated? I have an idea for you,
Okay.
which is
Just, you understand? Okay,
How's
I'm
that?
up now.
okay. And then hang on just one second. I'm going to put this there. Is that good?
Yes, that's fine now.
Comfortable?
Yeah, good idea.
Roy, can I do the same for you? I'm going to borrow this chair right there. How's that feel? Steady? Yeah. Okay. Good, good. You all right sitting? Or would you like to stand? Okay, terrific. Stay seated. All right, terrific. Good, good. So with your feet about 2 fist widths apart, or a comfortable distance for you, a distance that you feel comfortable with. Your knees soft. So if you're seated, then feet flat to the floor. Beautiful. Good. Then gradually guide your pelvis. So that would be the bony basin of your core, these bones right here, front and back. Guide them to your right, just a little bit, maybe an inch or two. And then come back to the center. And then about an inch or two to the left. And if you're seated, what you're doing is dropping more pressure into your right sits bone, the bony part of the basin of the pelvis, and a little bit of pressure now onto the left side. Good. As you move, just gradually here, you feel that shift, weight shift from one side to the other? There it goes, yeah.
Where should my hands be?
Yeah, where should my hands be? They could be right here. They could be right here in the front, unless you need them for balance. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So just like those sitting in the chair are feeling the sits bones of your pelvis or the feet of your pelvis pressing down into the chair, standing up, you're feeling one foot gain just a little bit more pressure. You got that one? Yeah, yeah. And then the other foot gets a little more pressure. And you don't have to go far. We're taking our time. Mm-hmm. It's a...
My balance is pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Good. Yeah, ever so slowly. Like the goal isn't to go fast. The goal is to reconnect as many muscle fibers as possible that have gotten disconnected in order to move you more efficiently, more smoothly. And maybe it even begins to feel a little bit like a willow tree in a gentle breeze. Or like your pelvis is a ship afloat on an ocean. And come to rest with your weight evenly centered. And with your knees soft, perhaps it feels like you're still moving ever so minutely, that you're still in flow. So Tai Chi is moving energy. Yeah. Beautiful. That looks good. Yeah, thank you for standing. I hope that made your bodies feel better. So take a record of what feels different. Do I feel better? And then relax yourself back into your chair. You can use Tai Chi energy to gradually, smoothly ease yourself back into your chair as slowly as possible.
Go down quick.
So, the go down quick. The go down quick. There is benefit in consciously transferring weight. So that we were just now transferring it from one leg to the other. We do that all day long when we walk. Only thing is you get it all the way over onto one side and you pick one foot up off of the ground and you put it down someplace new. And then you transfer the weight all the way over to the other side, so much so that you can pick that leg up and set it down someplace new. You do that all day long, and you might have your own cadence about you, like this is how I can get this going. Tai Chi will help bring a smoothness to that and give you more range, give you more options in case the next time that a foot comes down, it's not on level ground. And more options just in case you're surprised when that foot comes down. Yeah. So weight transfer, we just transferred it horizontally as we were standing. And then another thing that you could take home with you to practice would be the up and the down weight transfer. It would be very beneficial for balance. In Tai Chi, we just do it a little bit when we're standing. But one way to increase your balance and build leg strength is to gradually ease yourself down. And there will be a point where, gosh, I need to let go. No, I've checked the chairs behind me, I need to let go. But each of us will gain leg strength and coordination if we hover right there at that point. And then go down. Hover right there at that point, and then go down. And do that over the period of time, over a period of time like an athlete would. And pretty soon you'll be able to hover lower and for longer. Right? So that which you're experiencing is changeable. And if you walked away with nothing else from me talking about Tai Chi and the practice of Tai Chi, is that the principles are applicable outside of a 1-hour practice. And a 1-hour practice is a place where you can gather some information about how can I go about helping myself for the other 23 hours of my day. And one would be to gradually, slowly transfer your weight, both up and down. So by up, there's likely a place where momentum is helpful, right? And gaining leg strength, then slowing that down and then That'll benefit you in balance, walking, coordination. I was so surprised to hear from a physical therapist that getting up off of the ground, assuming no injury, right, is a coordinated effort, an effort in coordination. So my initial assumption was it has to do with leg strength. It has to do with how one's arms are coordinated with one's legs, are coordinated with the piece that connects the arms and the legs. And do all of those components work together? A benefit of Tai Chi. We coordinate legs with core, with arms. Yeah. Good. I'd like to put on another piece of music, if I could. Stay seated. Shall I move the chair? No? It's good? You okay with the chair there? Roy, would you like me to move the chair?
What?
Would you like for me to move the chair? Yeah. I didn't know if it was in your way. There we go. Nice. Yeah. With both feet flat on the floor, your spine as long as possible. Good. Your joints relaxed. Good. Take a breath in. Putting your hands back around the ball, elbows heavy, shoulders relaxed. Nice breath. Good. Good. Open, close hands. Almost like seaweed. The inhale swells your hands. The exhale draws them back into about the width of your head. Good, good. Nice, very nice. Good. 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 You can go super small with it. Shoulder width, head width. Yeah, nice. So once again, looking for the change between mechanically moving your hands apart and together and letting your breath move them. Nice. Pointing both palms toward the right. Imagine that the room is filled with water up to your waist. Using your pelvis to turn slightly, your ribs follow, your arms follow. The pelvis turns just a little bit to the right, then your ribs, then your arms. Imagine your hands up above the water. There's not a bit of resistance. You might could feel the air on your skin. Good, then drop your hands just a little bit lower into the water. Let them skim across the top of the water. almost like an oar. You might discernibly notice a change in the feeling in the core of your body. You might be using just a little more effort to push your hands through that imaginary water. Good. Next, drop your hands all the way below the water's surface. Now you're really having to push against the water. Is your pelvis still turning slightly first? Then your ribs, then your arms. Pelvis, ribs, arms. Nice. Good. Good, let's resolve that back to the center. What was different about that? What was different about that experience?
How about doing this in the water itself, in the pool, standing?
That would certainly, yes, absolutely. When you actually put water to it, you're using muscles differently.
Yeah. Pool available to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then what we're doing by imagining that we're in a pool is that we are safely using our own body's weight, and we're not putting any extra resistance that our body's not able to deal with or work with. Yeah, but if you went slow enough about it and really paid attention to your own body, you could certainly use that as a way to condition. Yeah. And then, is there anyone that noticed a change in tension? Was it a little bit harder when your hands were down below the water's surface? Seems so. Then that's you putting your mind to adding a conditioning component to Tai Chi. Each of the Tai Chi movements can be done as though we're in the air, or we're water flowing against a little bit of water. And add just a little bit of internal resistance to that. And it's done internally, self-guided. Another practice that comes back to focus. Focusing the mind for feeling better. And if you're focusing your mind and adding just the perfect amount of extra tension for you, then you're likely not to add too much tension. So one of the things that can happen in water is, wow, now, this is fun and goes fast, and then the water might provide more resistance than what one's ligaments would really like, be happy with, or feel good from. Yeah. Good. Good. All right. One of the last things I'd like to point out to you in this center of your handout is the anatomy of the foot. And I picked this picture in particular in that it illustrates a couple of things. One is this is looking down on the foot. As you look down on the foot, what are you struck by? What catches your attention? You're going to the doctor.
That's what I know.
Thanks for coming, Joan. Good. What catches your attention? A lot of bones. There's a lot of bones, 26 bones in each foot. There's some bones there up near the ankle. Those are the ones that allow your foot to turn a circle. The one that's called the talus, down at the bottom of the picture, there's the kind of the big white spot. That's the one that your great big shin bone sits down on top of and opens and closes. That's the one that allows for the opening and closing movement. Right there. As you've got your feet flat on the ground right now, give a little bit of extra pressure to your heels. And then put a little bit of pressure on the inner ball of the foot and a little bit of pressure on the outer ball of the foot. Those 3 points make a triangle. The triangle is like a tripod, a more stable shape than just 2 points. 2 points, you're kind of on a balance beam at that point. So there's a geometric patterning when you stand up that you're aiming to use for balance. What you might notice the next time you stand is, do I put my weight back on my heels more than on the balls of my feet? You might notice, oh, I put my weight more on the balls of my feet and less on my heels. Right now, if you're saying to yourself, I don't know which it is for me, then that's your go home. Go home and notice where you keep your weight. More on the balls of your feet or more on your heels? Do you keep it more on the inner ball of the foot? And if that's the case, it might feel like your ankle slumps down on the inside. Or do you keep it more on the outer edge of the ball of the foot? The inside feels a little bit light. The goal, the body's way goal, would be to have those 3 points as your stabilizing tripod. So we play with that in Tai Chi class. We experiment. Yeah, taking off your shoes to feel it. Right, right. The other thing that I'd like to point out to you are the 2 big circles. And in the very center where those 2 circles collide, you see an almost oval shape. That section of your foot is the center of your foot. That's where you would want your weight to be centered. So not back on the heel, coming directly down your shin bone, but in front of your shin bone, on the part of the foot that has all those bones. It's designed for that. It's the top of a bridge, the top of an arch. It's designed for that. So one of the things that happens in the Tai Chi classes here is that we bring a little bit of anatomy information so that you can begin looking closer below the skin at your architecture and using that information to move in ways that facilitate you feeling better. And then finally, how in the world do you know if you're feeling better? No matter what you're doing for movement, you measure how you're feeling. Do you feel flexible? So flexible is this. Everybody give me some sort of a gentle stretch, some sort of a gentle a reach. And it could even be just with your fingers. So as your fingers are reaching wide like that, flexibility is what you feel on the inside of your hand. Speed that Paul mentioned earlier, stopping and starting. You can measure that when you're walking. What does it take to stop and turn around and get going again? You can measure movement, constant motion. The opposite of that would be I feel stiff or stuck. Because you can measure strength by the squeeze. Gentle squeeze. And then you can do it isometrically. You could squeeze your shin muscles around your shins. You can do it without even moving your ankles. You squeeze those muscles. You can squeeze your thigh muscles. You can squeeze your arm muscles. Measure your strength. And finally, you measure your stability by feeling yourself balanced on the ground with your heels and the balls of your feet, feeling yourself balanced with your pelvis right over that. You know when you don't feel stable. Whoa. Yeah. We are. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Finally, on your handout, the benefits of Tai Chi. I've listed those. On the very, very front. In the very front. If you've not experienced Tai Chi, I would encourage you to come give it a try. There's a lot more to it, a lot more below the surface than the very smooth look that it has above the surface. There's a lot more going on for strengthening mind-body connection and improving balance. Yeah. Thank you for your time today. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.